I just unmuted you. Yup, I'm finna get the sharing.
Oh, we got music?
No, I already played
Yeah.
it. No, I just had played it when we was talking. I just had us muted.
Oh, you had us muted.
Yeah, I had us
Oh,
muted.
I
Yeah,
thought
yeah,
you
yeah,
said we
yeah,
got
yeah.
music.
No,
I
no, no,
gotta
no,
get
no,
on.
no.
The girl gotta get a
No,
give
I
me
had
some
us.
my music.
No, I had us muted. I'm about to get it situated. Yeah, no, we was just muted.
Okay.
I'm waiting why it's taking so long to come on in. Hold on, let me go back. Yeah, we on here. We are live.
All right. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. This is Brother Elliott. Let me slide over here. I can get a bit closer to the mic, so I know it pick it up anyway. This is Brother Elliott McCants with Brother Uncle Mickey Jordan on Black Watch. Today is our Sunday. Today is the 13th. And of course, this week is known as Passion Week, but we're not gonna get into that. We're gonna let y'all enjoy y'all passion, and just we hope and pray that because I'm a prayerful person too. I'm not. I want y'all to understand. I'm not an atheist. I just believe differently. That's it. All right. I do believe in God. I do believe in spirit, and I do believe in the energy that we interact with each other in. I do believe that. There's just some other dogma that I don't subscribe to. But if it works for you, make it work. But at the end of the day, if it's not about your liberation, might need to look into it and see how it works better for you. So Big Bro was just telling me about we having some people come down. Yeah, I'm not. That's you gonna do that tomorrow, right? Okay, so I ain't gonna say nothing about that. I'm gonna hold off. But let's go back to what we've been talking about, and I'm going to
Yes.
keep on riding this horse, right? Yesterday, I had an opportunity to be with another one of my great brothers, one of my brothers from another mother. His name is Brother Rupert Roberts on his show.
Oh, so you did get to link up
Yeah,
with
I
Brother
got a chance to
Roberts.
get on there and hang out with him, and we talked about some different things that still play an effect in the world, right?
Cool.
We talked about what's called the Berlin Conference of 1884, 1885, also known as the Scramble for Africa. And this is where you had 9 countries who decided how they were going to carve up different parts of, different parts of Africa for their empires, right? There was France, Belgium, Germany, Portugal, Spain, the United States, the Ottoman Empire, which is Turkey. Russia was involved, in England. And those 9 countries implemented the idea that we've been talking about all along, the divide and conquer, in order to be able to divide the resources to continue to feed themselves, right? So as we've had revolution that happened in the 50s and the 60s, and we had leaders of those countries to get murdered when all of the colonial hands, because those were called colonial powers at that time, and they still are, because the colonial power that owns and runs the United States is Great Britain or England. So just understand there's still that matriculation that happens between the United States and England, because whenever there's something that happens in England, it's bigger news than what happens in your own neighborhood, because that's the mother of the United States. And so back to the point is we were talking about how those colonial powers are objecting to the fact that you have African leadership who was saying we're going to control our own destiny moving forward. We're going to start to build and put in an infrastructure that says, even though you were here, we're no longer going to pay you. Even though you're here, we're no longer going to use your language. There was just another attempt, and this is kind of international news, at Brother Ibrahim Traore in Burkina Faso on his life yesterday, where they were trying to blow up his palace and kill other people to make it look like somebody on the inside had done it. And they found out, that there were 9 other people who were trying to plot, set up bombs to blow his home up, kill his family, and kill a bunch of other people to make it look like a terrorist plot. But none of the people that were part of the ploy to employ those bombs, none of those people were from Burkina Faso. They were all outsiders.
Wow.
So now what they've done is they tighten up the borders. So hopefully we have people that work with him that are not trying to take him out, and they cannot be bribed to take him out. Because that's what happened with Thomas Sankara in the 80s, 87 to be exact. Patrice Lumumba in 61, Jomo Kenyatta in Kenya in the late 50s, early 60s, and Kwame Nkrumah, who was the first president of Ghana, that they ran out of the country. He ended up moving away, and ended up dying in a foreign country. So hopefully we become much more aware of what we're doing as we're growing to our own independence on the continent, to don't help them assassinate our leaders. They're already trying. We do that enough. We've done that enough here, where every single person that we've had in leadership has been assassinated by somebody that looks like him. Brother Malcolm said that they'll get a black man to kill a black man just to say it was a black man. So they'll brainwash and bribe a black man to get in an organization. They did it with Garvey. They did it with Malcolm. They did it with King. They did it with all of them. There's been no organization that has been formed that they don't find somebody to put inside. They did it with the Panthers. That they don't find somebody to put inside in order for them to be able to control the narrative and get rid of the leadership. We talked about COINTELPRO before, and I'm going to pull a book off the shelf, and hopefully next time, but we're going to have meeting next, we're going to have come to meeting next week. That's Easter Sunday, so that's up to you. That's up to you.
How you want to do it?
Hey, because we'll do it. That don't matter to me.
You want to do it early?
That's up to you.
We can be on at 9.
We're going to be on at 9, so we'll catch them right after sunrise service.
Facts.
Okay.
And then we can give them, then everybody can have the afternoon with their families.
Okay.
We'll just do that.
Still doing that. Easter egg hunting and all that other stuff.
Yeah.
Okay.
Give it to, because I don't want to be, let's be saying we'd be inconsiderate. I done had enough of the church people and whoop on me.
But if the church people understood the doctrine, then they would understand where it comes from.
But see, that's the thing, brother. I don't think, just like how you brought up the Berlin Conference, I don't think if the people really understood. See, we going off a lot of people off hearsay, not who ain't did no study. And that's just like when I say the sister, I pray I'm saying her name right, Layla Harvey McGee. Uh-huh. You see the stuff she been putting on Facebook.
Oh, man, she been cooking.
Coming with nothing but knowledge. And what she do? Get ridiculed.
Right. But see, that's because people ridicule and do those things to other people because they don't know. Right? You can't get people want to try and ridicule me. That's the reason why I carry their ammo around all the time. It stay with me.
Facts.
Right? Because here, I can show you where this comes from, and I'm just regurgitating facts from before because there's nothing new under the sun. So if you don't even understand where this whole, okay. So even in church, the hymnals come from St. Augustine.
Facts.
A whole city is named after this man.
Facts.
Right?
And what type of person was St. Augustine?
St. Augustine was an African man from Ethiopia who helped write the edicts for the church that they stole and killed him for during the Nicene Council of Nicaea in 325 AD.
See, people don't even know about that.
But then don't get emotional about what you don't know. Go study.
Facts.
Go study. If you don't, if you're reading certain hymns and hymnals that come from whether it be Methodist, Catholic, I don't care where it comes from, and go find out where they came from, right? One of the greatest ones that we sing all the time is Amazing Grace, right?
Mm-hmm.
We sing that song. That was one of my dad's favorite songs.
Mm.
But when I researched later on who wrote it and what it was about, this man was talking about his slaves. And as he was
Mm.
dying in the war, after he injured and mortally wounded, he was singing about, his life with these people that he had enslaved and created war upon.
Mm.
But yeah, we sing it like it's something
Mm.
that we should be gracious about.
But facts. that's why I say if you did, but how long have you been coming on saying study?
Since we
Come
started,
with the
day one.
books. And
Since
you
we
came
started.
with books.
Right. And I'm willing to bet, and I can't see the screen about who's saying whatever, but I'm willing to bet there's only a few people. I know Sister Talib
Facts.
she has to. Her husband is one of my little brothers, and I forced him to start studying long time ago.
Facts.
But I don't know about everybody else. And I don't care nothing about your feelings. Your feelings is only an emotional response to something that you're not comfortable with. What do you know? You can be passionate about what you know, but
Facts.
back it up with facts. I'm not talking about anything that I cannot back up with facts.
Facts. No, that's true.
I'm not preaching about anything that I cannot, well, they call it preaching or whatever, but but I'm not preaching about anything that it cannot be backed up with facts. It is starting to become springtime. The grass is beginning to grow. That's a fact. The buds are beginning to bud on trees. Plant flowers are beginning to come up if you plant perennials. That happens every single year, every single time. That's a
So,
fact.
so can we say the new year has started in March? Because that's when everything coming back to life, right?
Right. Well,
But we celebrated in
in
January
January.
1st.
That's because somebody changed the calendar to fit their needs, and don't go by the calendar that it is. Because even in Africa, June 1st is considered to be the new year
Mm.
because that's when they have the harvest of the yam in
Mm.
many places on the continent. So it's not January 1st. They celebrate it over there, but it's not like what we do here. What's the new year? No, it's just time to celebrate. But most of the celebration that takes place in real indigenous places, June 1st, because that's after the harvest. And we celebrate the harvest. So even with with Kwanzaa and what Dr. Malala Karenga did, he was centering it around these holidays to remove us from this um, idea of something that happened in nature, number one, something that happened in the sky if you pay attention to it, number two, but an idea that was fostered and put in the church about the birth of a figure that clearly had to be African because of where the story takes place,
Mhm.
and it turned into a religious idea instead of a cultural idea. So Karenga invented Kwanzaa based around what's called first fruits, which is the harvest.
Gotcha.
But a harvest really takes place, especially in Africa, in the middle of the year, June. So if we want to say, for sake, that the new renewal of the earth takes place on the first day of spring, then that would be March 20th, March 21st, depending upon how the cycles fall. But if you look at what they talk about with Easter, that moves around. And that's based upon moon cycles.
Facts.
That's based upon moon cycles. So next Sunday is going to be the Easter Sunday. 2 years ago, it was in March.
Right.
So how is it that if you're talking about the resurrection, it takes place, it's only supposed to happen once?
Hmm.
He only died, according to the story, he only died one time. He was only born one time. How you gonna switch it up based upon and not even know that that it's being moved around?
Mm.
So is it gonna be February 20th next year? I mean March April 20th next year? Or is it gonna be in March?
That's why I ain't say nothing. It's on 420 this year.
Right.
On one of the in America love 420.
Yeah, well, that's a whole different reason. But it wasn't on 420 last year.
But was it in March or was it in
Oh,
April
well,
last
let's
year?
take a look real quick.
You
Okay,
know,
so
because
hold
this
on. I'm gonna
thing,
pull out
this thing,
last year's calendar and see when it was.
yeah.
Cause we playing way too many games with this foolishness about certain stuff, and then people want to get upset because you're pointing out facts. It's just a fact. Okay, this year we know it's on 420. What do we say? Easter 2024.
Hmm.
Man, you got some business over there, brother.
Yeah, I know.
That's all right.
I'm recording.
Okay, last year it was on March 31st. So now it's 20 different days later.
Mm.
It was on March 31st last year. Let's go back and look at 2023. So I ain't trying to bust y'all bubbles, but y'all folks ain't paying attention, man. This is because we just all want to be in our emotion. Like 2 years ago, it was April 9th.
Fact. It keep changing. The plot thickens.
Oh well, that's because people don't ain't looking at the plot. But at the end of the day, I don't care what you think and what you believe. My issue is, are we talking about being able to be liberated from any system that oppresses us? Period.
Mm.
That's all I'm talking about. And that don't mean that I'm talking about I'm dogging somebody's beliefs out. I'm not. You can live how you want to, live how you feel you need to in order to get through life. And y'all probably sometimes, hey, this that your belief and your no, well, hopefully, is what really gets you through a lot of hard times. I get that. But at the same time, if you got one was April 9th, and then the next year was March 31st, and then this year is April 20th. Come on.
Unbelievable. America's Weefer Day.
Well, they don't care nothing about that. Folks, I mean, and how did that become a holiday? We celebrate anything.
Through
18, even
legislation.
with 18, how did that become a holiday? Detroit 313, how did that become a holiday?
I think people was more because of the dates. People was more celebrating, you know what I'm saying, that area. You know what I'm
Is that
saying?
what it is? Okay.
Yeah,
Well, clear,
yeah.
make it clear for me,
Yeah,
so
yeah.
I don't know. I don't want to be
I think it's more people celebrating,
wanna-
like how the picnics, the tailgating start up.
right.
People just getting together. I just think with it falling on August being the 8th month, then on the 10th day, make it 8-10 day.
Okay, and it was just something fun to do.
Yeah, I think that's all that was.
Okay.
I know that's what we did it for.
Okay.
When we did it, you know what I'm saying? We
Right.
did it really for a lot of the people who watched us that could come to Flint.
Mm-hmm.
Like Just Oil came here. They could meet, you know what I'm saying, the people who had shows on there at that time. You know what I'm saying? The councilwoman was there. It's for people, you know what I'm saying?
Right,
It was
okay.
really for us to interact with the fans.
Okay. Well, then I'll make sure that this year on 18 I'm available so we can talk to people and meet people and people can see me and we can have a conversation.
Facts.
I'll make sure that I'm available that day.
Yeah, that's what
Okay. Well, I mean, because I didn't know, to be honest, right? Because, and I'm glad you cleared that up for me. That's the reason why I asked the question.
Right.
You know.
No, ain't no problem.
Yeah. So, but anyway, back to where we started. So we have to really, family, work at a level of preparation that I don't think we're at. You know, we have to make sure that we have to be prepared for all things that may happen that can cause us consternation, to be concerned about some things. With 9 different attempts at this man's life because he wants something better for his country. Probably more attempts than that.
Those are the ones you know about.
Yeah, those ones. Yeah, right. The ones we know about. And for the murder of our leaders and for our institutions to be co-opted. Because I don't care. Okay, we're gonna go back to the Marvin Sapp thing, right? You're not gonna sit there and tell me that as a man. You're not gonna do that. You're not gonna sit there and tell me that. You're not gonna make it okay for you to say that, and then you later on you want to come back and say it was slip of the tongue. No, you're very clearly saying something, and you very clearly put it on towards people so that they could do what you wanted them to do.
Facts.
Because that's the level of brainwashing we have. And the only aware people were the ones that were protesting against the fact that you just literally said, I want you to come over here and give me your money and close the door and don't let nobody leave until you do so. But you didn't give a reason. If you'd have been intelligent enough to give a hey man, we got 10 people that's getting ready to go to college, or 8 people or 5 people we need to get this money for so we can support them. That wasn't even a reason that you said afterwards. Now you want to come up with excuses later on. That, ladies and gentlemen, is not leadership. Why are you following that model? And then it's, we want to forgive him because he's a man. Okay. That is absolutely insane. I'm a school teacher. And nobody would forgive me if I was playing with a kid and we were playing a game in school and playing dodgeball or whatever, and I throw a ball at a kid and whacked him, you're not going to forgive me for that. But you'll forgive this person? And y'all think he holier than anybody else?
That's the selective politicking.
That's it. That's it. Why you think he better than everybody else? He's a man of God. Look in the mirror. Each and every one of us are men and women of God. Each and every one of us have a purpose. Each and every one of us is supposed to affect a change around with the people that we're around. He has for me. Yeah, bro. I ain't gonna hold it up. You made me look at politics a little bit differently than was before, right? You remind me of Mr. Cleaves, may his soul rest in peace, who always told me, pay attention to what's going on in the government around you and what is and what's not happening. So, Brother Mick over here is like, hey, man, even though I don't tell you to come to council, I still watch what goes on, even if it's for a few minutes.
Right. You do need to see, because what you just said with Brother Herb, because that's my, like I said, my sister Monique, that's, it's like, man, they was more like Herb, friend. They was more active in local politics.
Absolutely.
Man. How did we get to this, get disconnected? How did the residents get disconnected and you only had a handful when you had more people hands paying attention what's going on till now? Or were they not really paying attention?
Well, what happened with is people became more focused on themselves than they were the community. And I mentioned Jack Miner, who's passed a while ago, Jack Miner, who, if we had any issue, it was here, call me. I have the number to one candidate, and it wasn't here, call me, but here's my card. It's here's my number. And call me anytime. And if we had a complaint, he would. I'm knocking on the door. Oh, hey, Dad, it's Mr. Miner's at the door, and they would sit down over a cup of coffee or a beer or whatever and talk about it. That's the same way with Mr. Clatt, who just passed. He was the same type of person. It was. He would always call me boy. He knew what my name was, but I was one of his students, right? Hey, and not just in school. I wasn't a student of his in school, but outside of school, it was different, right? These men, Mr. Cleaves, same thing. Hey, come on, boy, we're gonna meet down at the. I'm 30-something years old. Hey, here I come. And it wasn't, no, I feel offended that you called me that. It wasn't about that. But it was the council persons were truly vested in what was going on with the citizens that they represented. So they could be personal.
Dang.
And now I don't see that unless people have an issue. You don't see. But there's a lot of people to cover. I don't care because we will support your ambitions. And I'm going to say it again. When Mr. Minor decided he was going to run for state representative, we supported him because he took care of us there.
Well, you don't see that now.
No, because people want to. I don't know whether the nature of the society says I'm concerned and afraid, but have it in a public forum.
If you, not to cut you off, if you really pay attention to this politics now in the wards, and I'm not gonna say all, but in some,
Okay.
you will see that the council people they deal with they deal with the voting block of their ward, and 9 times out of 10 it's the people who really doing something for themselves. It's like they don't really interact. You don't see them all interact. Now I got to give credit where credit is due. Eric did with all sides of his wards.
Right. Absolutely.
You know what I'm saying? I'll say this. You'll see Tanya out there. You know what I'm saying? Hey, evidently you see Dennis doing this because his ward people like him, and you can see Jonathan Jared. But the ones, you know what I'm saying? It's like the ones who are in control, I ain't going to say, who can get things pushed through, they only deal with a certain fragment of their ward.
I haven't seen my person in my area at all.
Well, she not going to be on that side.
One time at the store. And when I spoke to her, she acted like she was scared. That's a problem for me.
Listen, I seen her, and I'm gonna be honest, because I was about to say, well, you got the light skin treatment, but I couldn't give you that. You know why? And I'm gonna be honest, because how she treated you, I see how she treat white people compared to black people.
Okay.
I seen Candace, the councilwoman in the 7th ward. She more open to them, where she's more like she's combative with us.
That's insanity.
Yeah.
And I understand that may be the people that she, from the sounds of, that's the people that she's pushing their agenda. And that's okay. But then you become their puppet.
And that's why you think she was going along a lot what Doug Matthews was doing. You know what I'm saying? When he was coming down there, you know, how he was written, in my opinion, how he was coming down there harassing Tanya. But you didn't see none of the you know, far as Dennis stood up. You know what I'm saying? You didn't see none of them up there from Candace, from Liddell. The women. Only woman that stood up there was JWC that was standing up for Tanya. You know what I'm saying? Right. Candace and Liddell. See, man, our people, sometimes we'll let certain stuff slide because we hate you.
Right.
Because this really what this is. Anytime you can let somebody come disrespect a woman and you see he harassing her and you don't say nothing, that tell you all you need to know.
Right there, yeah. So how do we fix that?
I don't know really, because to me the black side of the 7th ward, it got more people, but it's the well-to-do off side by the college are more reliable voters.
See, so therefore, what is it that needs to happen on both parts? The black side that we're active, but maybe if I don't see you, then why should I vote for you? And you know what I'm saying? I'm not saying we gotta have a personal relationship. We gotta go have breakfast or whatever. That I'm not talking about that. But why not have a forum where we are, so we can express any grievances that we might have? And I'm not talking about what that thing was that we had last summer where we couldn't talk to the candidates. I'm not talking about that.
Facts.
That was dumb, and it was a waste of time. And it pissed me off, to be for real, because we're there just to listen to them give their sides about reason why they're supposed to
you was
running
there
for vote. Huh?
You was there.
Yeah.
I know exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah. I was sitting in the back.
Me
And
too.
you was there, but you was
Yeah.
above me.
Yeah, right,
You was above me.
right.
And I was the one that walked out, was talking loud in the hallway that he told to be quiet. And I told him I'd shut this place down.
Oh, right. Oh, wow.
You see, no, you ain't gonna tell me to be quiet.
Right.
And even though the people that was directing the forum, I know them, you
Right.
still not gonna tell me to be quiet. Ever.
Right. That was Dylan Luna and his crew.
Yeah. But here's the thing. If you're gonna have a forum where you have a candidate, we should be able to ask the candidates questions instead of sitting there listening to them pitch their sales pitch about reason why they should be council person. If I have grievances, I should be able to express them.
Facts.
I don't want to express them at council. I want to express them to you so you can hear me, so then you can tell me what the plan is to correct the grievances. Going to council is a waste of time. There should be okay, what's the agenda,
Right.
and what jobs are we going to get accomplished for each one of the, okay, so we need the sidewalk fixed, we need the streets fixed, the trees are getting trimmed or whatever,
Right.
because you're trying to make sure that we have something happen with the power, especially with all of this other stuff going on internationally with folks raising tariffs and all this other stuff. Now, what are we going to do for both sides? And instead of it being both sides, I represent the residents of the city, of this particular area. Yes, the college area has got one set of needs. Meanwhile, the area that we live over there by Scott School may have another set of needs. But if you don't know and you're not talking to nobody, how are you going to know what we need?
Facts. And that's what I didn't understand. And she from over on that side. She grew up over in the valley.
No, I ain't never seen him before. So.
You ain't. I didn't, but I was told she grew up over there.
Okay.
What's up, Eddie Gray? Yeah, I was told, but I like I said, I remember one time I got the video footage. You had to go back. I remember when RL approached her, she was like, "Get away! Shoot!" I was like,
What
"Damn,
kind of insanity
I
is
said
that?
this how she did RL." Like I watched a lot of stuff that, like what these people do. Man, I'm gonna be honest with you. I watched a lot of stuff. That's like give you a prime example with this ambassador BS that Neely did. Allegedly, well, it ain't allegedly. LaShawn, they threw an ambassador meeting. Guess who LaShawn was trying to block from coming? A resident.
Why?
It just happened to be Miss Beverly Biggs of the Third Ward. She didn't want her at the meeting. She believed that she think that title that Neely created, he pulled up out the, pulling pie out the sky. He pulled this thing called ambassadors. When they said Linda Booth had to tell her, like, you can't do that. Now, this is the type of person that's running for city council. She already showing you what type of game she in. She didn't show her hand, ain't even sat down in the seat. So how can you expect her to be a fair negotiator?
Right. And if you don't know what the needs of the residents are, how can you ever go into a council without, and you're supposed to be the council representative, without knowing the needs of the whole area that you are supposed to be a representative of? But this is where we have people out there for personal reasons and personal agendas and not there to represent the whole of the people. They're not.
Crazy, ain't it? You ain't even in the council seat, but your first thing, what's up, Uncle Luke, Carl Luke? Her first thing was, I don't want her in here. How you gonna stop somebody a resident? At the end of the day, if she wasn't running for it, she's the Third Ward resident.
Yeah, and you can. And by what law? By what rule of law can you stop a resident from coming into anything that is an open forum, unless it's a closed forum? If you don't have a closed forum, I have a classroom. I don't care, other than the fact that there may be some rules about people coming in during class time. I don't care if you come in. You suppose you walk in anytime you want to.
Right.
If you're a parent, whatever, come in anytime.
Right.
I have your children here. Now, we know that there are safety concerns, and I get that. I'm not talking about that. But what you're describing is a personal situation and a personal issue, and they don't even know why they don't like each other.
Facts.
Okay.
Facts.
So that goes back to what we've been talking about before, right? This Willie Lynch letter, where you create negative talk or negative ideology about a person, you don't even know who they are. I'm sure that there are people that are offended with me that because they watch this show that
Fine.
have no clue who I am, other than telling them to giving information and giving ways that we can get around and be better people. But I don't like him because he talked about church. I'm talking about the mosque too. I don't care. All of it. If it's not in the best interest of all people, then what's the point? What's the point? So if there is no point, then why is it necessary? I'm just saying, if I decide to come to a if so, you can't come in this meeting. What's your rule? What's your rule of law? Because if you don't have one, then you might have paper served to you. Because that's righteous. I don't like you because you don't agree with me because I don't like you. That's kindergarten stuff. Once again, we go back to what the letter says. If you start to continue to create a person and make them be childlike, then you can
Facts.
control them.
Facts.
The letter says that if you break the female horse, then eventually what she does, she teaches her foal, her baby horse, how to come and eat out of your hand.
Rough.
It's the same principle. It's the same ideas. It's the same ideology. If you break people, then you'll force them to be something I can manipulate for my purposes.
They done broke us.
Yeah, well,
Not all, but enough of us.
yeah. Well, that's the reason why, they continue to send agents and we don't buy it all the time.
Yeah. Then the agents get mad when you expose they trick.
Right. And we're supposed to. But we're supposed to have each other's back. And because we clearly don't, that's part of our problem. We clearly don't have each other's backs. And so therefore, the system continues to celebrate the fact that we're destructive towards each other instead of being supportive towards each other.
I'm what I'm looking at just reading. So I'm trying to figure out how can we change that. Change it.
It has to start with people that are not supposedly in charge. It has to start with people who are like you and me, trying to inform people and go from there. It has to start with people who want to have something new, who desire to have something new. And they're not concerned about the politics or politrics or people that I might vote for you, but that's okay that when you get in, but we're going to have a discussion. It also has to start with people who are supposedly in charge as representatives, and then we force them to have a discussion with us, and we
Right.
force them to be able to say, okay, so we're a unified front in the, let's say, Seventh Ward. Let's just say that,
Okay.
right? That's where we live at. We're a unified force in the Seventh Ward. Here's the grievances that we have from most of the residents in the Seventh Ward. We need to sit down and have a discussion with you. Here's our grievances and here's our issues and concerns. Now, are you going to help us with them? And if not, what's the quickest way we can get you out of office and put somebody in office right now without having to wait so that we can get what we need taken care of? Now, are we asking you to sit in that seat forever? No. Sit there long enough in order for us to get our grievances aired and taken care of. And then now we think maybe you should be able to run for a state council seat. And yes, we know that the higher you go, the dirtier their politics. Not a problem. But as long as you're taking care of us and you represent us and we got you and you got us, then we okay with a little dirt taking place and we'll help brush it off. But don't forget where you come from. And what people do is they forget because I no longer need you once I get what I want. And clearly, like I said, if I'm having been a resident in that area forever, and I don't get a chance to talk to nobody, and even during the campaign time, I talk to one person because I know them, and even though they lost, we still talk every once in a while, even if it's a text message to each other and say, hi, how you doing? Happy birthday, happy Christmas, New Year, whatever. But the person that's supposed to be my representative, I have no clue. That's a problem. Because they don't belong there. They're serving the best interest of the people that put them there. And not the best interest of all of the people that they're supposed to serve and represent. But that goes back to the letter. I'm attached to this group of people that says that I have a certain allegiance to, and not the allegiance to the people in totality. And then you're not being a representative.
You got a point.
And that's all the way across the board.
But how can we get them to, like you say, get the youth with the elder? How can we get them together? Because it seems like here you don't really see the youth and the elders really vibing.
No, you don't. But that's done by design too. Because if you make sure that young people don't go to the library, which is the elders, to learn anything, and and the intermediaries for them are parents. Then once you make sure that connection never takes place, then you can do what you want to with either group, right? That's no different than what the letter said. The letter says if you separate the old and the young and let the young people think that the old people are you old and you this and that and the other and you don't have any use, that's part of the system. Willie Lynch letter says that. Oh, you got long hair, your hair's you darker skin, you lighter skin, you this, that, the other, all of these other things, and we're still operating in that system, right? So if we're talking about even in I'm gonna go back to what I've been told, in our ward, if one person who is the representative of our ward only goes to see one group of people and not everybody, then your attachment is not to us. In totality, your attachment is to other people that may voted for you, but you make promises to them that you may or may not be able to keep. And you definitely are not doing anything for the rest of the residents that you represent. So why are you there? And what's the rule? What's the rule of law in order to be able to remove that person? Because even when I saw signs, there were only a few. They didn't blanket the whole. Because if you serious, then you blanketing every resident's house with paperwork in the area that you're supposed to represent. But if your allegiance is only to one group of people, and I'll get it that we do the analysis to vote, but why should I vote for you?
Right.
Give me a reason I should vote for you. And I don't care to hear what your rhetoric is in a forum like the one we was in before, because you get to tell what you want to, but you don't get a chance to allow people to respond or ask a question. I don't want to sit in there. I'm never going to sit in a forum like that again. No, people say it's wrong. No, it's not wrong, because what's the point of sitting there listening to somebody talk and no questions can be asked of them about their policies and what they're going to do? I just got to listen to you and listen to you and listen to you, and we up there for what, 2.5 hours, 3 hours, and I can't respond back in an intelligent manner that's asking you a question because again, I don't know who you are. And I get it, we can have concerns about, oh, my safety is huh? Because if people knew you, then you have to be concerned about your safety.
Because that's the problem. They only want to go around who they feel they can help. You know what I'm saying? They not really like I'm gonna say this. Like I can say this. I done seen Tanya out there.
Right.
I know the world ending. I done said her name several times. You gonna see like Mays. Mays was most of your council people you could see back in the day. You would see them.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's only now that you very rarely that you get to see them. There's some new stuff I'm not accustomed to. Like I said, I remember seeing Mays in the streets in the late '90s.
Yep, absolutely.
Early 2000s. I
Right.
remember seeing Mays in the streets. I'm not gonna lie. You see when they threw something for him, the young kids, people did show up to come see Mays.
Right.
You know
And
what
this
I'm
is what
saying?
these people need to do instead of just coddling to one group of people for their
Right.
support. You represent everybody. You don't so therefore when we talk about voter apathy, why should I vote for somebody I don't know?
Cold blooded, but look how they treated the Regencies. The Ninth Ward.
They didn't even go over there.
The only time I seen Eva Worthy go over there when Sheriff Swanson was doing something.
Oh my goodness. Damn, I don't even want to talk about that.
Oh well, that don't.
Don't.
But she was. I'm just saying, look how they really treat the poor areas of, and that's down there in every major city.
Yeah, right. The downtrodden poor that you don't that can do nothing for you because you figure that they have nothing to give to you, not understanding or not caring that the
Right.
system created that situation.
And it's crazy. There's more poor people than it is people with money. How is the people with the, like they say, the 5%? You got the 85. You got the 5 and the 10%.
Yep.
Then you got the 85, the dumb blind. I can see it because it's 85% is no way they should be struggling.
Right. But if your idea is that the 5% want to make sure, and this is where capitalism and communism differ but are the same.
Mm-hmm.
You got the working class. The only thing you are concerned about is working.
Right.
But we have to, in order to make this country run the way that it's running, you have to have a working poor. And some of that working poor, you have to make sure they don't have the opportunities to get jobs. And this is done by design, right? This is done so that with your working poor have to then find other avenues and other ways in order to make ends meet.
Right.
And when they do that and they make ends meet that way, then all of a sudden you criminalize them.
Yeah. Look at weed. But now you can go to any dispensary down there,
They
every
all
corner
over the place, bro.
in America.
All over the place.
But how many people have been locked up, did time for weed?
And some of them still locked up.
And how many becoming millionaires now?
Man, you got millionaires from selling weed all over the place.
But it's legal now.
Right.
Billions of dollar industry. Billions
Yeah.
industry.
Yeah.
But now, just like with alcohol, remember prohibition?
Yeah. Well, when the government found a way that you could tax it, and then you found a way that you can control it, then you tax it and put regulations on it.
It's about the dollar.
It's all about the dollar.
America is a capitalistic country.
Yeah.
That's why I don't understand how we have salary caps.
Well, because this is something I told a few young people that are athletes that I found out about through listening to athletes that on a podcast, and they were saying that you get a salary, but every time you go to a new state to play basketball or football, they tax it. They tax it at that. They tax your salary at that rate. So if you make $100,000 a game, and you come to the state of Michigan, you're gonna lose $6,000 from taxes. Then if you go to, let's say Ohio, and it's 7%, you make $100,000 that game, they get into $7,000. And then everybody else got to get their fees off of that per game. and then the owners get a percentage.
Wow, I ain't know that.
Yeah. So the owners get a percentage for you coming in to play. They get a percentage off the gate, and they get a percentage from their players because they're playing. So they can afford to say, "Oh yeah, we'll give you $500 million over 10 years."
Yeah.
That's fine. But by the time you break that money down per game,
Facts.
and it get taxed 82 games or 32 games or 16 games,
Yeah.
wherever you go, and you get the tax, the state tax, the owner's cut, the other owners don't look. But they ain't. And then you talking about for a family of 4 to go watch the Lions play.
Change.
You talking about almost $1,000.
Yeah.
Because the parking is 120.
So
Tickets is $90 or $100 or whatever.
And they winning.
And if especially they winning, the price go up.
So made the playoffs.
Right. So now the price gonna go up. So you ain't getting no more $20 tickets. That's dead.
Yeah.
Now tickets is $200.
But I got something for you. How you feel about this? China then exposed that the Gucci and Louis Vuitton.
All of that was trash in the first place.
Yeah, but it was still made out of the same stuff that the cheap stuff was made out of.
Yeah.
But them people was paying
You're
that
talking
money.
about $13,000 for a Birkin bag, and the bag only costs materially to make like $12.
Wow, and them people was paying cash.
$13,000, $14,000, $15,000 for a
goodness.
Birkin bag.
Wow.
Now, with some crafting, you can go buy you a piece of leather and make your own bag. But people want to be lazy, and many of us, and I'm saying us, like shiny new things that we can impress other people with.
Yep.
Not about your intelligence, not about who you are as a person, not about you being a good person. None of that. Nothing of those ideas matter. The only thing that matters is if you get something to impress somebody and they like what you have, and so therefore they're going to try and use what you got because they like it. Like, oh, I'm going to go buy a bag. $13,000, $14,000, $15,000.
Unbelievable.
But that's how silly people are. That's how immature and childish people are.
But them Hermes bags cost down there a couple $100,000.
Who?
Hermes. The Hermes bag.
Okay.
Yeah, a couple $100,000.
And what are they made out of?
From what China then said, probably $30.
But
People
if people
money.
are paying that type of money for what they consider to be a luxury item that can do the same thing as any other bag, who are you trying to impress? You're trying to impress people for what reason? It's like watching people who, because you got a new car, you must be up to. Okay, so you was able to save money and get you a new car. And you deck it out and people find you all impressive, but yet you can't put a sentence together. And you don't know what the square root of 9 is. And you don't know how to write a paper. And you don't know nothing, but you come across some things and you do stuff to impress people. Not yourself, but to impress other people.
Facts.
$13,000 for a bag. What function does it? It must. So it's got to be doing better than this old school Samsonite over here. So it's going to carry its way up the elevator, press the button, open up the books for me, point to the page I might be talking about, and read it to me before. Oh, it's just a regular bag. Okay.
That you paid thousands for.
Thousands of dollars. And
Could've
even if
bought
you had the
land.
money, you could have, land, something more practical. Something practical. But you don't want to invest in something practical. That's somebody's college education.
Facts. That's generational wealth.
And that bag is going to disintegrate and deteriorate because it's made out of whatever it's made out of. Even if it's animal skin, for what? But people get sold an idea of it that is illusionary, brother Hubert. That's illusionary, and we buy into it.
Man, I wish I should have caught that. I'm gonna go back and watch it because I love that brother mine on what
Yeah.
y'all was talking about, like how you would like they don't want to talk about the Berlin Conference because when we go to talking about that, the Council of Nicaea, we go to talking about when you go to bringing up a lot of stuff, and
See,
then you gonna
he
get
getting
to the
ready. I'm
church.
telling y'all right now, he getting ready to open up a book for y'all. So I've been waiting on this moment for him to start sliding over this direction a little bit more. Cause we stay
Yeah,
in politics a lot.
yeah. No,
So
I'm
now,
ready to get there.
okay, well, all right now, don't okay.
Matter
Now
of
y'all
fact,
heard him. Yeah.
you know what? I what Mark Hutchins said, I had a blast. My son, he said I had to blast my son for spending hundreds of dollars for a Gucci belt. He knows better, but still did it because it is pushed in the culture. It is. That's why. You know what? Let's start culture talk next week.
Okay.
What is you doing on? We coming on early in the week too.
Okay.
We still gonna do this Sunday at 9
Yeah.
because it's Easter, but we need because we getting to the holidays.
Right.
You know, we getting to these pagan
Yeah.
holidays. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? We gonna go into the culture because Juneteenth finna be coming up,
Right.
and then we do need to talk about this because I do feel like we need to start putting pressure on our activists along with I'm gonna start calling them representatives of our community,
Okay.
along with the council people.
Right.
Now I do want to do that. I want to start
Okay.
because I want you to get Sister Layla. And yeah, I want to see something, man. I do. I want to get that
Okay.
culture talk.
All right. No, let's do it. Cause I mean, and the only reason why I really haven't hit it that hard is because people are not prepared to make a change and follow a culture. We're okay with following this society because it's about materialism. Culture is bigger and deeper than that. A culture, talking about being cultural person, is inclusive in all aspects of your life. When you talk about being a society, I'm only concerned about
Right.
materialistic things, right? So
Right.
this society that we live in, how many cars you can amass, how much money you can get, how many I got this flashy car with these big rims on it, how many girls I can pull, how many
Right.
that but we've allowed that to take over culture. Culture means you're learning a language that you should know from where you come from. You're eating the foods of that culture. You're wearing the clothes of that culture. Your ideology is cultural based instead of societal based.
Got it. No, I'm ready for it. We got to get them something different, like you say, because it's still gonna wrap up into what we talking about, as far as politics. But we do need to get on into that because, like, you know what I'm saying. I think when you get to the basics, then you can really get defined on what's going on.
Right. Well, what's really going on is people are more concerned about their own personal situations than they are concerned about people.
Mm,
And as a teacher, I got to be concerned about everybody. I got to be
facts.
concerned about my students, my parents. I got to be concerned about administration. I got to be concerned about my children. I got to be concerned about my brothers and sisters, whether they were blood or born from somebody else. That's a cultural idea.
Mm,
Individualistic or societal would be it's about me and maybe my kids, and I could care less about everybody else. So I
facts.
just want to get mine.
Mm,
What does that mean if I can't make sure that somebody else get theirs too? As a matter of fact, I want somebody to be better than me. That's cultural. Because
facts.
then that means I'm the shoulders that they stand on to reach higher than what I've done.
Mm,
That's cultural.
mm.
That's cultural.
No, I'm for it. I listen, brother. I'm ready.
Okay.
That's why it just hit me. You got any passing you want to say before we close it out? Anything?
um, your family, and I know I say this. This is going to be the mantra every week. Go study. Okay, go study. You know, today is y'all call it Passion Week or whatever you call it or whatever. Go study. Go really, really get an understanding about what it is. Go really look for a culture, a real culture from the continent that really, really, a real culture from the continent. Stop listening to all of this internet BS that is not based upon anything real because a lot of the stuff that people are talking about has no basis and nothing of reality. Nothing. The reality is we're a divided group of people and we need to stop playing around with this idea talking about unity in the community and become united for real because we have to take care of each other. If we don't, we perish. And I don't care what you believe, at the end of the day, we all have to eat or we die. That's it. I'm done on that little big bro.
All right, family. Listen, we coming on. This coming up. I don't know if it's it's Council Monday, Tuesday or Wednesday. Probably Wednesday. Me and brother Elliott gonna be on
Okay.
because we got to get into the culture.
Yeah, if not Wednesday, let's look at Thursday.
Family.
Let's do Thursday.
Thursday we on.
Thursday we back on.
Peace, family.
All right, fam.